Good morning, Long Island. Good morning, United States. And welcome to the American Soccer Club Zone on KJOY Radio, 98.3 here in beautiful Farmingdale, New York. Right next to Republic Airport. We're watching those planes take off as we speak this morning. Beautiful area. On behalf of the American Soccer Club New York, we have our show, the American Soccer Club Zone, our podcast that goes nationwide. And we would not be able to do this show without our great sponsors, beginning with LifeVac on our jersey fronts. LifeVac have saved over 4,000 lives. To date, CEO and founder and Massapequa, Long Island native Artie Lee and his LifeVackers around the country are on a mission to save lives, and the American Soccer Club New York are partners in that noble endeavor. Incredible company. Couldn't be more proud to have any organization on the front of our jersey. Orland & Cohen Orthopedic Group is also a fantastic partner of ours, a division of Northwell Health. Our jersey-backed partners, the incredible Orland & Cohen Orthopedic Group division, has the state-of-the-art facilities and the state-of-the-art people. They help athletes get back on the field, and they've been an integral part of our ongoing program here in New York. Our uniform apparel partners, ASC New York, wear only Bologna, Italy-based Macron. We love that they're across their North American headquarters are right across the Long Island Sound in Bridgeport, where we can get to see them. I'm going to see them tomorrow. And we love our Macron. They have a great motto, be your own hero, and I kind of love that. So Bologna, Italy, and now here on Long Island, and so we're happy to be sporting their brand nationwide. But the Bongiorno Law Firm in Garden City also, the Long Island's best personal injury law firm as well. A-Turf, America's top synthetic turf manufacturer. A-Turf Fields last an industry-leading 14.5 years, from the Buffalo Bills Stadium, where they have the worst weather on the planet, to the Sousa FC Orland & Cohen Complex, where we held our tryouts, 5-field state-of-the-art complex. A-Turf provides a playing surface most like natural grass in pristine condition. BQE Soccer Partners, the architects of the American Soccer Club New York for many years. We have to thank everybody involved with BQE. Todd Shapiro and Associates, the top PR agency, definitely in New York metropolitan area, maybe the country. Unbelievable, and one of the reasons we're sitting here is with Todd Shapiro is because of Todd Shapiro and Associates and their fantastic support. And finally, one of our first partners, the Long Island Junior Soccer League, a league that I grew up in and coached in, became the youngest coach at 17 years old. The Long Island Junior Soccer League is our partners, and our opening day will always be Long Island Junior Soccer League Day, as it was May 4th, 2023. Today we have nothing but great guests in studio and out of studio, but today we've stepped up our game a little bit, and this is a guy who has done a lot for American soccer at all levels. I mean, at the highest level in Major League Soccer and at the lower division levels, which we're all involved with today. So today we're joined by Michael Hitchcock. The world calls him Hitch. I still do too, but I also call him really the ninja of American lower division soccer. So Mike, if anybody's never called you a ninja, I want the title for that. I want credit for it if it sticks, but I consider you the ninja of American professional soccer, especially on the lower division level. So how are you today, Michael, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, I'm doing great and love talking shop, and I think I'm going to add ninja to my business card now, so thank you for that addition to the superlatives. And by the way, congratulations on a great inaugural season with the club, and really cool to see, what you all were able to accomplish in that first season. And having done it many times in many places, the first year is always the hardest on and off the field. And so, you want to establish that foundation, which sounds like you guys certainly did, with that great list of club partners who have really bought into what you're building for the community and the opportunities you're providing, and really excited to see the future and see the club sort of grow and evolve over time. So congratulations.
Well, thank you, Michael. And I'm really happy. One of the best things we did was engage you, and we're going to talk to people about your resume. And I could spend the entire 30-minute show on your resume, but we're not going to do that because we got too many things to talk about. But your virtual VP organization and yourself and your great people around the country. You'll talk a little bit about that, please, but you also helped us launch this American Soccer Club New York for Kevin Reardon and I, which we greatly appreciate, and help us put literally a virtual front office of really top executives and mostly very young, really sharp people with fantastic attitude, never had a bad day type people. And we wouldn't be here without you, so we're very grateful for our engagement with Virtual VP and your great team. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a pleasure working with you. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so listen, Michael has got a resume that he can tell you a little bit about. I'm going to just give you some top line highlights. soccer player by nature, as a player, college player, but also Michael's career, I believe, began with Dallas, FC Dallas, in ticket sales. So he's been in Major League Soccer. He's been in the NASL. He's been in the US. He is in the USL. He's been in the NPSL. And I'm sure that I've roughed that, probably the MISL, too, which is where I started with the New York Arrows, and I think you might have been with the Sidekicks. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're investors in the Dallas Sidekicks. So, big fans of the indoor game, and that's actually when I was growing up. There was no professional outdoor soccer to speak. It was sort of in between the original NASL and the launch of MLS, and so we used to go to MISL games. And I'm an Army brat, so I moved all over the country and have been to Kansas City Comets games and Atlanta games, and you name it, we loved it, right? So my very first soccer experience was an NASL game when I was really young, and Seattle Sounders against Atlanta Chiefs when I was living in Georgia, and my dad, who was in the career military, took me to the match at Fulton County Stadium, and I just fell in love with the sport at that moment. But yeah, so been around, been in the soccer management game for 30 years. First chapter is in Major League Soccer. Started in entry-level commission-only ticket sales at DC United. Worked my way up in management, worked for the Colorado Rapids as their director of sales and marketing, was vice president of sales for the LA Galaxy, helped open one of the first soccer stadiums in the country, which is the Home Depot Center out in Carson, was a part of the management team who put together the plan to bring David Beckham to the U.S., and then I currently live in the Dallas area, and what brought me here is I was president and general manager for FC Dallas and opened Pizza Hut Park, which was a 110-acre multi-purpose facility that had 17 soccer fields, soccer stadium, launched an entertainment business as part of it, launched one of the first youth academies in the country for a professional club, signed the first two young players through those academies to pro contracts, and then left FC Dallas and started my own sports management company, which we still own today. And now we invest in lower division teams and all over the world. And so we've got investments in 20 teams. In some cases, we're the majority owner, managing partner, run the day-to-day. In other cases, we're just a minority owner and sometimes sit on a board, sometimes not even active, and provide some of our company's resources to help the teams, and in some cases do not. It's just an investment and part of our portfolio of, we call it Grow the Game.
Yeah, Michael, it's fascinating. Before we get into things that are very topical, one of the questions I thought about prior to our interview today is that I had a couple of mentors, and you have mentors at all ages in this business and other businesses. But one of the mentors I had, and you mentioned the Kemper Arena, the Lewicki brothers, what they did with the Kansas City Comets. When the NBA was failing in Kansas City, they were selling out Kemper Arena, and you went to a game.
Yeah.
When Todd Lewicki came to New York Arrows, even though they had the best team in the history of indoor soccer with Steve Jungle and the like, but weren't really selling more than 4,000 tickets. Todd came in, and when I was a senior at Hofstra, got a chance to work for him. He was a mentor for me. Who was a mentor for you? I know there's probably more than one, but getting your start, who was someone that helped mold you and really help you develop to what you became?
Yeah, I would say there's probably three that I could point to. I mean, there were many, many more that certainly played a role, and I've always prided myself on being a sponge and trying to learn something new every day. And still to this day, I've been doing this 30 years and still try to get smarter each day and learn. And so, always asking questions to people that are better at some area of the business than I am, and taking that with me. And we've sort of carried that through as our philosophy in hiring people. We hire people who are better than me at the different areas. Now, I know it. I've done it all at all the different levels, but, you hire the experts and you empower them and support them and provide the resources and the culture to be successful. And a lot of that I learned from my mentors. And so my first one was certainly my father, and he was a colonel in the Army Special Forces, ran the Ranger Battalion, and just, I would say, a lot of my leadership and a lot of what I think I bring to organizations is that, organizational sort of knowledge, structure, accountability, work hard, play hard, that I grew up around on military bases and saw firsthand through my father. In the sports industry, I would say my first true mentor, and there are once again many, many people who played a significant role, and I worked for so many talented, incredible people, was Tim Lewicki, who was president, CEO of Anschutz Entertainment Group. And so when I moved to L.A., they were headquartered in L.A., I was able to spend a lot of time with Tim. I was on the fast track management program for AEG, so I had Sean Hunter as an assigned mentor, who was the CMO, and worked hand to hand with Tim. So learned a ton from them that I carried with me. And then when I was recruited by Lamar Hunt to come to FC Dallas, I mean, Lamar has got to be one of the greatest sports pioneers of all time, right? I mean, in 3 Sports Hall of Fames, tennis, soccer, football. credited with, obviously playing a key role in launching the NFL. He named the Super Bowl, which seems to have worked out pretty well. Launched, pro soccer and launched pro tennis. And so he was the owner of FC Dallas and incredible visionary. And before he passed, which was during my time at FC Dallas, literally would have calls, almost every night, just talking shop, talking business. Lamar didn't have a cell phone, so he would always call me from his landline. I had to have a fax machine in my house, and he would fax memos and ideas. And I still have handwritten notes from Lamar that he had sent to me just with different business ideas and sharing just the challenges and the struggles of the NFL early days and the NBA and just these leagues and sports properties that are just incredibly successful now. They all went through those humble beginnings, and often we don't know that because we weren't around to experience it and a part of it. So, yeah, just learned a ton, and I'd say working for Lamar, outside of launching the Lubbock Matadors with my daughter, who was going to Texas Tech at the time and in the School of Sports Management, outside of launching that team with my daughter, working for Lamar was the highlight of my sports career. That's
incredible. It's amazing that this Midwestern brothers that didn't go to college, both of them, how they came across some guy from Long Island and some Army brat from all over the country, and we got two of them as two of our mentors. So it's pretty amazing. Whatever that Lewicki's, whatever they have in their blood, they I won't go through an analysis of what they have, but I can tell you one thing I know they have. They have incredible energy. They're incredibly honest and very straightforward, and they're people you want to be around. And they have an infectious energy and no arrogance about them whatsoever, which is what I loved about Todd Lewicki. And Todd was 25 years old running an MISL team in a time when actually was a pretty big deal at the Nassau Coliseum here. So anyway, yeah, that's really fascinating. Lamar Hunt, man, I'm jealous of you. That guy, I'm an old Jet fan, which is not an easy thing to be these days. But I remember the old AFL days from when I was a little kid, and it was the Chiefs and the Raiders and the Jets, and those heady days made me a Jet fan and to the side. But Lamar Hunt is a guy that in every range of life is respected. I know my brother Brian has interviewed him and his family multiple times, and you walk away feeling like these people they're just something special. Forget about what they've done in business; they're just great people. Michael, you've also you've done a lot. One of my challenges for this interview is that we only have a half hour, so I have to really be very specific because we can go on about a lot of things. Right now you're owner of PMI, Virtual VP, Pine Street Press, Fort Worth, Vaqueros, and Diablos. If I'm leaving something out, I know Alfredtown, I believe you just sold. Is that correct, in England?
Yeah, so one of our first investments was a lower division club in the National League in England, which is fifth tier below the Premier League. And they've always been National League North, National League, sort of in that area since we've invested and been a part of it. And so anyone who's familiar with Welcome to Wrexham, they used to play against Wrexham before Wrexham got the influx of cash and from those sexy Hollywood guys and started getting promoted every year. And so we made an investment early on before it was cool to invest in English soccer and football. And for me, it was about learning, I knew I had my spidey senses said, it's easy to say I knew because it's happening now, but 15 years ago I felt as MLS is going to continue to grow and evolve, the sport's going to grow and evolve, lower division soccer in communities all across America will be a real business opportunity, an opportunity to build something that isn't just something you love for the community, although that's why we do it, but actually could have a business around it with thousands of fans and, great sponsors and, facilities in the future and building stadiums and training sites and all that other fun stuff. And we're seeing that all happen now, which is really exciting. And I know we're going to talk about that. So I wanted to learn firsthand because England's where it all started, right? And so for me, that was an important investment we made. Great local partner in a town called Alfreton, not a big community, but a great local partner who was the chairman of the club, cool history of the club, and the right business model and the right philosophy, most importantly. And so we made that investment and just recently exited. So, I wanted to keep it, forever because I loved it, but my partner was interested in, transitioning on. And so we agreed and sold it to a group out of New York, actually, ironically enough. And they're just recently took over, and we're wishing them all the best as they start their inaugural season as owners. Even though it'll obviously be the next season for a club that's got so much cool history, they start this weekend. So we're cheering on for them from Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, that's fascinating, and I love that. And you were ahead of the game. It's now becoming popular, and the Wrexham guys may have heard about this and other things and have done what they've done. We're actually have begun a relationship with the Wrexham organization, which has been a phenomenon in for people like you and I, it was natural. But I mean, my wife loves this, and she's not in this business. She's a teacher. People that never saw a soccer ball in their life love that show. I mean, it's a human show. But it is also that great Rocky dream of the underdog and ultimate underdog. And I know money has played a lot in that, but it is great to go to restore heritage over there, and fascinating stuff. But we're actually hosting with the Long Island Soccer League a Wrexham camp in my hometown of Massapequa at John J. Burns Park in a couple of weeks out here on the island. So
cool.
We're beginning a relationship over there. We're going to see where it goes. We're talking about player development. We're talking about cooperative marketing. And clearly wouldn't mind if their ownership wanted to get involved with us a little bit. We'd probably welcome that, but we'll see how that goes. League analysis. I want to get back to a couple of your clubs because you just launched the McKinney Chupacabras, which is a fascinating thing. And what you've done with that, as I said, that's worth a show on its own. I love that one of your highlights is launching the Matadors with your daughter, who's fantastic, and she's way beyond her years. I know she's a very young person right out of college, but she is way beyond her years as far as a professional, great intellect, and just a wonderful person to be around. I think you have that in the gene pool of the Hitchcocks, just people you want to meet and talk to, and are never in a bad mood, never have a bad day. That's unusual, but I think it attracts people like people, and I've noticed that your virtual VP staff are very much similar people. There's a common thread amongst them that anytime you're on the phone with them, that's the only call they want to be on, and I'm sure that's how your partners and your community fan base feels when they go into these smaller markets. And I've got some questions about markets and so on and so forth that we're going to get to. And before we do that specifically, if possible, let's see if we can do a short analysis without playing any kind of a word game. We have MLS. You've been in MLS. We're all big fans of MLS. I sat with Don Garber in 2001 when he was relatively new in the job, and I was the head of Umbro North America. I think it was 2000 actually, and we sponsored. I inherited the sponsorship of the Miami Fusion, which, for anybody that remembers, was not a great sponsorship partner. They were not a good organization, and ultimately failed. And I sat down with Don. I said, "Listen, I'm also working with the USL in marketing. Why don't we try and see if we can get my sponsorship from Miami to maybe New England or some other place, because I don't think this organization is salvageable." But the other thing I said to Don as the VP of marketing with USL, I'm walking in and out of doors in New York City or Madison Avenue for corporate partnerships, and I'm walking into MLS guys. Why don't we do it together? And I respected Don from day one, and I still do it today. He said these words I'd never forgotten. He goes, "Jim, if 1-on-1 makes 3 or 5, I'm all for it. But right now my focus is on selling spots, building stadiums, and selling franchises. Right now I'm in the process of losing 2, and I've got no stadiums." Well, flash forward, look what he's done, and look what the ownership group has done and the people that kept it together. So I say that as a long premise for, without being critical, we now have MLS, USL, and PSL, which brought us together, and we have MLS and USL almost in a death match. Pros and cons. We'll start with MLS, go to USL and PSL. We'll start with MLS. What do you see pros and the cons? Since I know you share a vision of, I think you say something that I say. If you're for soccer, I'm for you, as long as you're a good person, and I believe you feel similar to that. So, what's your analysis of MLS right now? If you could step out of it, strengths and weaknesses.
My belief is for us to truly become the soccer nation that all of us want, that everyone's been working so hard towards for such a long period of time, and it's coming, right? It's happening, and I think most of us believe we're entering the biggest off-season in the history of U.S. soccer leading up to the 2026 World Cup. And so there's a major opportunity there, but we don't want to lose much daylight in maximizing the opportunity in front of us. Is for us to become a soccer nation, we need to look like England and other European countries where every community has a high-run, locally relevant, connected to their community, means the world to everyone in that community, does good work to make that community a better place to live, work, and play through the beautiful game. Every community in the U.S. needs to have that level team, right? Needs to have a team. Now, we're not all in one pyramid like you are in Europe, where you've got promotion relegation and it's all managed by one organization, whether that's the FA or the football or soccer association in that respective country. So we're a little bit of a unique model, right? And we're also a unique country for sure, where you could have 2 first division leagues, which we're going to have. You could have 2 second division, which we've had. You could have, multiple third division, which we've had, and right now you've got multiple fourth division, 4th tier leagues, even though it's not officially the 4th division, right? But that's where it sits, and so is respected. So for me, you've got to look at right now what is the top of that, professional pyramid of development, and that's Major League Soccer. And we need Major League Soccer to continue to be successful, to push the game. Early on, I was in those meetings where it was, are we going to continue with MLS or not? And thank God there were the Phil Anschützes, the Lamar Hunts, those owners that said, we believe in this, right? That we're going to become a soccer nation and continue to invest, where many other OG investors bailed, right? And that's why you had one owner that had 7 teams at one time and didn't want 7 teams, but wanted to keep the league alive. The league has gotten to a place where now you've got, the billionaire boys club sitting around the table. A lot of them are NFL owners of, major companies and organizations and sports franchises. That brings a lot of power, clout, sphere of influence. That's good at the highest level. So, they will continue to invest, and you've seen it in the last week. 3 high-profile players were signed by MLS. That elevates the game on and off the field. And so we all need that to continue to happen, whether we're part of the MLS ecosystem or not. Their strengths are they've got the ability to do it, they have the motivation to do it, and they're going to make it happen. I believe their weaknesses are they're making some decisions in the boardroom that isn't considering the absolute total growth of the game, right? Not playing in the U.S. Open Cup, to me, is a travesty, right? I think that's just absolutely terrible. It's, for me, the most important competition in this country, and everyone should buy into it, invest in it, and let's make this the FA Cup, right? And it has that potential if everyone did that. But they chose not to, right? And the way they went down on that was, for me, not being in that room, is people making just a straight, P&L, top line, business decision that they feel, is going to affect their bottom line without truly understanding how much it affects the whole thing. And for me, it's let's grow the game as much as possible. Let's get the pie as big as possible, and everyone's slice will be good, right? No matter where you are in the equation. So the other thing that I think they've sort of lost over the years is early days MLS, and I was a part of it, so I can speak to it. We were on every sideline of every field. We were at every networking event. We were at every community event, every festival. We had to be, right? Just to, connect with people and to, sell the game that we love. That's not happening anymore. It just isn't. Now, the flip side of that is the lower division teams, that vacuum of missed opportunity of not being out in the community like they once were, that's the opportunity that we can take advantage of, right? And we're seeing that happen all over the country. And I believe that's what people want. They want community. They want connectivity. They want to feel something that's authentic and real. And so, MLS got to keep driving the game. We're all drafting off of them to a certain effect. But then we have to do our job below that, whether you're second division, third division, fourth division, and all the leagues are going to play an important role until this thing all comes together, if it ever all comes together. So, and you never know. I'm sure if you talk to someone in the AFL when they were making things happen, they probably thought, there's no way we're going to merge with the NFL. Well, it ended up happening, right? So you can't say never, but we just have to do the best job we can do. And we tell our staff, do it better tomorrow than today, repeat, right? And just do it for all the right reasons. If it benefits the community, if it's growing the game, if it's good for our partners, if it's good for our players, if it's good for our fans and supporters, let's invest in that. Let's do that. So, when you start to go down, you have to respect what USL's done, what they have built over time, and you've got a lot of very talented people. They've invested, I think, in the right places. They've made some exciting announcements. It's going to be fun to see how this sort of evolves and how how the execution of Pro Rel comes together. And certainly at the first division level, there's going to be some unique challenges there, as there is throughout the whole ecosystem every day. But man, you look around, they're doing some really impressive things, right, at all levels of USL. And so we've got teams that are in the USL 2 and the W League, the women's side, which I love to see the investment that the USL is making on the women's side of the game, and the youth side. They're sort of building this really impressive sort of ecosystem to grow the game all over the country. And then you've got leagues like NPSL, the League for Clubs, which is a newer league that launched this year out of some teams that left the NPSL, and then they found some other groups out there. You've got, I'm going to call it fifth tier, which, once again, it's not officially fifth tier, but it is certainly a level below when it comes to operations, fans, investment, is the UPSL. But all these leagues, and it's going to sound like alphabet soup to soccer to most people who aren't familiar with it all, they're all doing great work, right? They're all growing the game. They're all doing what they're going to do. And so for me, it's can each league be the best version of itself, right? Can each club in that league be the best version of themselves and just grow the game in their communities? And what we have found is if you make soccer cool and you make soccer fun and you have that real authentic connection with the community, there's a massive market. Our team in Annapolis averages, close to 9,000 fans on the men's side and over 4,000 fans for the women's team that played in the W League for the first time. Our team in McKinney, Texas, averaged close to 3,500 fans in their inaugural season in a high school football stadium where you can't sell beer in the summer of Texas, which is really challenging. And, yes, there's 8.5 million people in Dallas-Fort Worth, but there's also 8.5 million things to do, right? So it's like, you're seeing these cool success stories in Boone where there's 19,000 people in Boone and 30,000 in sort of the immediate area with the mountain communities that are nearby. They're getting 2,000 to 3,000 fans a game. And more important than just in Lubbock, Texas, which we touched on earlier, had record crowds this year. I think they averaged close to 5,600 fans a game in Lubbock, Texas, in a high school football stadium. So it's happening. And if you saw the USL2 championship in Burlington, Vermont, they not only sold out their 2,500 seat stadium in record time, they had to bring in temporary seating and had close to 5,000 fans. And if you watch that game, the level on the field, the engagement with the fans, the atmosphere, if you would have closed your eyes and just, listen to it, and we experience this when we go to our games, if you just smell it, feel it, just experience it, listen to it, you would think you're at a lower division match in Europe. That's what needs to happen in America, all over USA, for us to become a soccer nation.
Yeah, and as I said, we could dedicate a show to this, but it's true. You look at even the Hickory FC in North Carolina didn't host. They hosted the semifinals, had almost 5,000 people, I think maybe more. That's a club that is not a household name. As I said, this does not surprise you because when people do it right in areas that there's a market for this. And we did notice this too. And we have an announcement to make. You mentioned the U.S. Open Cup. We actually, although we were probably going to wait a year, decided that as a club here in New York, we need to enter the U.S. Open Cup. The NPSL gave us the opportunity, and we just actually submitted our application. And we will be playing the U.S. Open Cup here in Long Island, which has not been done for a while, and it will be on the 14th of September on a Sunday night here in Long Island. The venue will be announced. We felt we had to do that, even though we have to reconstitute a team that is largely built of college players. That if we looked each other in the eye and said if we're going to be good at this, then we have to be able to do just this: constitute a team of talent within 30 days. How would you describe, and with only maybe 2 minutes left, the difference? And that's because I'm not being fair to you. Do you have an explanation for this? If you're going to start your franchise in Long Island as opposed to Boone, clearly there's some commonality. There's some things you always do, but there's obviously a big challenge. We're breaking here with 14 professional teams in every sport on the planet, 2 MLS teams, a bunch of UPSL teams, a USL team. So I noticed, having done this X amount of years ago and then doing it now, it's a much more crowded field and it's tougher to break through. And honestly, it comes down to breaking through where MLS is not done anymore. They're not in the community at all. And that's going to be. It's not going to be a quick overnight thing, but it's going to be built. What's the difference for the world listening out there? For if you're opening a club in Long Island or in Annapolis, which is a middle market, big market here, or Boone, are there any differences, Michael? And what is the main thing you'd want to convey to the audience?
Yeah, so we've got ownership, and once again, some of which is just investment level, but we obviously are familiar with the operations and the opportunities and the challenges. Some where the managing partners are literally working on it every day, and all of those usually benefit from some of our resources as a company virtually. But the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 markets, they're all unique. Each one's unique. We have a playbook, so there's a basic plan that includes best practices, good business systems. Our philosophy is the same, which is good people, good plan, good execution. We can build the plan and adapt it to the market. We can build the culture to execute the plan and get the engagement to build the village, which is what it takes of just all the key stakeholders and leaders in the community who believe this is great for their community and want to get behind it and support it. We can do all that. And then the key is identifying good people, right? And that's a big challenge because there's not unlimited budgets. You don't have these massive staff. So, we utilize, great, talented sports management interns that come in and gain real-world experience. We hire the best ones to work for our company, and we capital reinvest in people, year over year. And so, if we team sustainably, if we run them really well, they're profitable, but we don't take profits off the table. We invest it back in the community, whether it's helping local organizations, investing in local soccer, or growing our staff just so we can continue to grow year over year. And that's our model is, survive in advance, stay in business, and then just grow So the philosophy, the playbook is all very, very similar. At the end of the day, the big difference is every market's going to be unique. They just are. And in major markets, you can't afford to buy a billboard. You can't afford to, spend money on advertising. It's just cost prohibitive, And I'll use the example in Lubbock, Texas. Gatorade's a sponsor, and we buy radio advertising with Gatorade. In Dallas, Fort Worth, Gatorade would be a sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. They're not working with the McKinney Chupacabras and buying advertising. It's just two totally different worlds, right? So here, the key has got to be local connectivity, grassroots marketing, events in the community, and hand-to-hand, just building it fan by fan. And when you do that, it takes a little bit longer, but without a doubt, it's probably more impactful, more meaningful, and you have a greater connection. And what we have found is even in major markets where you've got, in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's more major and minor league sports teams per capita than anywhere in the world. There's a market. You can find your niche, and you work your niche, and you just grow it from there.
Unbelievable, Michael. That's a great answer. And we'll end it on that note, a fantastic, positive note. Good people, good plan, and good execution. And you have what Michael has created is essentially a lower league empire, standard bearer, which is inspiration to us all. And as a managing partner, general manager of the American Soccer Club here in New York, we couldn't have started without you, and we were very, very smart to do it. Michael Hitchcock, thank you for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure. We don't have enough time, but we're going to do it again, hopefully.
Well, thanks for having me on, and good luck this off season. It's going to be an important one for all of us, so we're cheering for you and here to help any way we can, and just love seeing the game grow all over the country.
Thank you, Michael Hitchcock. Fantastic show. Great guest, maybe the best one yet. We'd like to thank our K-Joy here, 98.3 FM in Farmingdale, and our great sponsors. And we'd like to also thank Stephen Coffey, our intern producer from Todd Shapiro & Associates, and Marcus Faria. You guys did a great job, and I wanted to also thank once and for all our great sponsors of Orland Cohen Orthopedic, Life Fact, Bongino Law Firm, A-Turf, BQE Soccer Partners, and, of course, the Long Island Junior Soccer League. We'll see you next week on the American Soccer Club Zone, and I'm Jim Kilmeade, your host. It was a pleasure.